Good morning, traders. TG Watkins here. Let's see. It is May 31st when I'm recording this. It is going to be the end of the month, and the market is kind of going a little bit sideways. Got some shenanigans going out there. The market's been very choppy for the last few days. I think we've got some reasons. It's also just end of the month, so that could be some window dressing since the market's been up so much. The big funds, big institutions pretty much want to keep it up because they want the end of their month to look good. So we'll kind of see what the beginning of June actually looks like because yes, the market kind of needed a break. And what we need to figure out is, does it just want to go sideways for a little bit or does it want to come down a little bit? And that's what we're going to try and figure out. So as you can see here, I wanted to show you some of our recent trades. Over here, we took a couple of Tesla trades along with TSL trades, and I wanted to figure out, what was the better one to trade. It looks like they're about the same as far as this particular trade that we did. We did a Tesla butterfly, and we did TSLL calls, and 47%, 42%. So we didn't really get to the target I wanted to, so these may not be super accurate as far as what I was really looking for, but you can see, hey, we did pretty well on them. Decided to cash them in because we were starting to see some weakness in the market. Along with that, as you guys can see, we were getting some weakness, we were getting some mixed names. There also were a few tickers that got hit by news. TEM came out with news, RCAT came out with some news, and there was like one other stock that came out with news that brought them down. So we got minus 4% on our equity, and I did take a option trade. We decided to get out at 50%. We were up and then back down. It's been all over the place, so it's still holding. I'm happy to get right back in if this market shows that it wants to go up, but just in case the market wanted to get a little bit weaker, I decided I wanted to get out for now. And then you can see, RCAT minus 10%, NNE. I was kind of stretching for this one because the nuclear names have been going, but again, the whole market kind of topped out right now. So I decided to get out of that one too. But then we cashed in Robinhood at plus 95% for equity. And then Rocket Lab is also at 12%. So we're doing pretty well, but this is just a way that you can see that the market's kind of starting to cool off a little bit and start to bounce around a bit. Okay, so I wanted to show you guys that, and then this is what we're going to be talking about. So remember that this is for educational purposes only, and then hit that like and subscribe button. Remember, if you guys have any questions or comments, you can drop them in there. Also, we're going to be talking about a bunch of different things here, but I figured in the meantime, I got some pretty good responses last time I showed you guys some airplane stuff, and I got our aviators out there. Over the Memorial Day weekend, I was hanging out with my parents down at their place, and so my dad's Camaro is in the hangar. I had my Camaro out. The day I told you guys we were going to go flying. The day actually turned out to be great. So this is my Camaro on the right. It's a 1977. This is my dad's Camaro on the left. It's a 1970. He's the original owner of this. So it's been through a restoration, but he's the original owner from 1970. Pretty cool. And then these are our two airplanes. We got a Glass Air 3 down on the bottom and a Mall MX-7 on the top. So we had some pretty good time with that one. And then let's see, I'll get you. Here's my dad, and I figured we had the two Camaros together. I was like, hey, this looks really cool. Let's get these things out. Let's take some pictures. We did a little bit of a photo shoot, and yeah, you can see my Camaro and his Camaro. So yeah, we're having a good time with it. We went flying and just had a great weekend with everybody. Got the boat in the water, and that's a whole nother story. We had some issues with it, but we got it fixed and up and running. So got that, and then as we go through this, I wanted to show you guys, and if you guys all remember that I had that 2,000% win on SOXL, and you guys can see here the video for it. And since I've put this video out, I've gotten a fair amount of questions like, hey man, how did you do this? How did you know that this was going to happen? How did you take advantage of this? And really my answer to this were twofold. And what I want to show you guys up and through here is there were two specific things over the course of time that I have learned and that I am teaching everybody. And this is really what helped me, number one, figure out the leveraged ETF thing, and number two, really get better with options. Because so here is my leveraged ETF breakout session. It's a class, and then my 0DTE SPX breakout class. So the fact that I've been trading and teaching myself how to trade 0DTE, and I think I do it in a different way than most people. Nobody taught me this. Nobody taught me this. I had to figure it out, and now I'm trying to show you guys how this actually works. And the fact that I actually trade 0DTE options this way and that I can visualize it this way is what helped me understand how to really hold on and go for the long ride for the SOXL trade that went 2,060%. So between these two classes, it's pretty cheap, $197 if you want to get both of them. You don't need the Moxie Indicator, but this is the thing that really helped me succeed with that trade. that you can see here where I took my account from 46,000 to 719,000 in 30 days on one trade. Okay, there were a bunch of other trades in here that did well, but I took one trade that went 2,060%, and that is how I did it. So you can also watch this video, tells you all of how I did it. And if you had any questions, that's going to answer your questions right in through here. Okay, so let's kind of get on with it. As far as the key tickers are getting overbought, yeah, this is a concern. I'm going to show you guys some stuff, and really what I'm seeing is a combination of the weekly chart and the daily chart, and that's where I'm still having a little bit of hesitancy about really wanting to get aggressive on the long side. That's why I showed you our notable names this morning, is because 2 days ago we actually took a lot of profits. We took a lot of things off the table because it felt like the market was starting to get weak. And I think if you guys were in the market this week, you'll kind of notice that too. Of course, not everything's down. Palantir's up, things like that are still doing pretty well. Trade tensions. So it's not all paradise right now. We've got stuff about China. They're kind of pushing back. Maybe they're not holding up their end of the bargain. Then we've got some tariff legal battles. At one point, there was a international trade court that said that Trump can't do the tariffs, but then he appealed. And then a court came back and said, okay, he can, but then there's another one that's fighting. So there's all sorts of stuff that's going on with the tariff situation. This might be another reason that the market is basically going sideways and chopping around, is because, well, we're at resistance. The market ran for, it was huge. It ran for an entire month massively, and now it needs to kind of rest. So these things need to recoup. We got breadth that went super high. That needs to rest. We have all this kind of trade tension, legality stuff. That's kind of causing some problems. So there's just a lot of reasons that the market's going to be taking a little bit of a breather. So I'm going to get this watch list. These are stocks we're going to go through. But remember, if you have any questions, just ask in the comments, and you can hit that like and subscribe button. All right, so if we go over to the SPX, you can see, where is price? It is right smack here. It is right back to where we were. This is going to be some stuff to have to get through. Okay, I didn't expect, this is why I said 6,000 would be our target. We pretty much hit it. And then we pulled back, and then we came up, and now we're really just sideways. And if you look at here on the hourly chart, I put on this, you can see here, this channel, and I want to see if we actually come back down to the lower end of the channel, or are we going to really just kind of go sideways and then through here? That's the question, is what is the range? Now, I don't think we're going to come all the way back down to the 50. I think some people have been wondering about that. They've been asking me these questions. I don't think we're going to get all the way down there, but I certainly could see us kind of, bouncing around in this for a little while. Now, Friday was a little bit of a surprise. We actually took a 0DT call credit spread, and we were up 80%. Like, it was a great win. Should have taken it because, the market moved down based on, again, more trade news. But then immediately the dip was bought, and not only was it just bought and got back to where it was, it actually went higher. And this did actually put a little bit of a question mark on what is next week going to look like, because this was a very, very surprisingly strong day. Now, I'm also perhaps chalking this up to a little bit about being end of the month, and we did have an options expiry series. And I'm just wondering, do they want to hold it right around here at 5,900? Because, they had a lot of options expiring. They needed to hold it there. They wanted it to expire in a certain range. And so they're just kind of doing some shenanigans to keep there. So I'm really going to lean on next week to see what happens, because I don't really have any signals here that say, yes, let's keep going higher right now. Plus, as I said, if we look at the weekly chart, and I'm going to show you this on a bunch of stocks, what I'm concerned about is we still have a pretty big gap between price and the moving average. Do you see how there's all this air between price and the moving averages? That's a concern. So it doesn't mean that price has to come down, but I do think it means that price needs to go sideways for a little bit, and sideways can still be in a range. Like you see the channels that I have here, and you can see even if price comes back down to this lower channel right here, that would actually bring us right back to those moving averages. So that's why I'm keeping it open. We do have a couple hedges on the SPX, and I just want to be protected in case the market does want to come down a little bit. Now, you'll see in my list I had Walmart next, and it's not because I'm trading Walmart. It's because actually I think Walmart is a great example of what the SPX could be doing. So you see here how Walmart also is in this channel right in through here. And look, yes, it is starting to break out of the channel, but I think that if the SPX does come down next week, we are basically right here at the top of the channel, and I'm wondering if it can come down to the lower part of the channel. And really what it's been doing is flagging right here on the daily chart, trying to fix its overbought condition. And if you look here, you can see how Walmart on the weekly chart, if I kind of really zoom in here, you can see how Walmart also, at the time, had a big gap between price and the moving average, and look what it did. It came back down to that moving average. So really, start sticking this weekly chart in your brain, because I'm going to show you a few examples of what I'm seeing, and I'm seeing some consistency out there. All right, so then we look at the IWM. Again, not getting too much of an answer in through here, because we are really right back to this range. We're very sideways. Now, I think big picture, long term, I think this is an inverse head and shoulders. I do think that the market is going to go higher eventually. The question is when. But I don't know if it's going to happen next week. Maybe it's going to take a few weeks. We're not really sure. But you can see we're right here, and that is why the market has pretty much stalled out. Again, I don't have any signals to go long. Price is still underneath a downtrending hourly 50. Moxie Indicator is below 0, and I don't really have any signals here on the 15-minute time frame. In fact, the IWM actually closed down at the end of the moment, even though the SPX ended kind of up. So we got that, and then if we look at the Dow, same kind of deal, kind of stuck in the middle. Then you can see here, where is it? Right back into this range. So I think we're going to have to really digest this range for some period of time before we go higher. Again, the Moxie Indicator is firing. I don't really have a signal, and it's a little bit mixed on the 15. Yes, it's kind of positive, but that hourly is kind of negative, and I just don't know. It's very sideways. When the market's sideways, it's kind of hard to tell because everything's going sideways. And then you can look at the semiconductors, and look at this. Where is SMH? Right smack into the right back to its range. So that's a lot of stuff to have to chew through. It's done a really great job, given like what happened with the sell-off, and now we're right back up here. I mean, it's almost like it didn't happen. I mean, really, think about it. It didn't happen. But now we have to kind of take some time, chew through that level, and if we're going to go higher, it's going to take some time. And this is the other reason why I said, hey, we're just not ready to go up, because look, you can definitely see over the last few days that the semiconductors have pulled back. They were just too high. It was NVIDIA, basically. NVIDIA got a little bit of a jump up like this, and then everything got sold into. So we did take a trade on SMH. We got out we got 2 cents on it, so we made a few bucks. But yeah, you can see it just got sold into, and that's what I'm saying. I think that the market needs to rest a little bit, and we just need to give it a little bit of opportunity in order to kind of catch its breath. Speaking of that, how about we look at breadth? And you look here, and again, kind of in the middle. We are at 60%. It's not too much, it's not too little. It's really right in the middle. I don't know what to do with this. We're at 60%. If it were 80 something percent, yeah, overbought. We need to pull back, which we did. If we're at 30%, then we're kind of down into support, and I'd say we probably need to go higher. We were literally between 50 and 60%. I don't know, guys. We're sideways. So we really just need the market to give it some time and have it tell us what it wants to do. The 50-day SMA breadth has backed off to 70. That's good. That can hang out there for a little bit. It can come down a little bit. Not much to really say in through there. But yeah, this whole thing, we just need to kind of just give the market some time. And then if we look at the put-call ratio, originally the put-call ratio did come down below 0.7, and you can see we kind of sold off a little bit, and it's come up a little bit. We'll kind of see. This doesn't immediately have to say that there's a sell-off, but it does say that kind of the advantage is not there right now. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, see if there's anything to do there. And then if we look at the UVIX and the VIX, this is also indicating that we could potentially go higher on the UVIX, which is down for the market. So we don't want this to go up, but it looks like it could, because you can see here it's been putting in higher lows. The Moxie Indicator is above 0, and if you look here on the 15, it really is pulling back right into the 15-minute 50 with the Moxie Indicator above 0. This could certainly go higher, and if this goes higher next week, then the market's going to go lower. So nothing really says swing for the fences right now, and nothing really says everything totally clear. It's definitely mixed out there. So try to proceed with caution. All right, let's take a look at Tesla. And you can see last week I gave you some trade ideas about Tesla. Let me actually get to a bigger screen here. You can see I gave you some trade ideas with Tesla, and this was looking really good coming into this week. So we took a trade. Actually, we put it on Friday, but we exited right here at the top because I could see that the market was starting to get a little bit tired. That's why we only got 43 and 47% out of those tickers. And then if you look here on the daily chart, you can see where we at, right smack into resistance right there. Now, I do think we go higher eventually, but I think that the market needs to kind of take a little bit of a breather. You can see we got a little extended here on the daily chart. And if you come over to the weekly chart, once again, this is what I'm talking about. If you look in through here, let me kind of zoom in on this for you. You can see that even Tesla is kind of floating up in the middle of nowhere. See that big old gap between price and the moving average? It's a bit of a concern. Yes, it could keep going, but given everything that we're seeing right now, it kind of looks to me, could take a breather, maybe it goes sideways, maybe it goes down. We're not entirely sure. We took our profits on it, and so now we're kind of clear and open to figure out what it wants to do next. Now, that being said, Palantir, yeah, Palantir's doing great. We're in it. I did set a tight stop just in case it wanted to pull back, but it got some news, actually. Funny enough, there was an article, I think it's a New York Times article that came out that was trying to be a hit piece. It's trying to bash them by saying, oh my gosh, Palantir's everywhere. Palantir's involved with this, with this, with this. Look how many contracts it has. And by her, or this person, I don't know if it was a guy or girl, this person who was writing it was trying to say, oh, this is bad. Well, investors saw that article and it basically said, holy cow, Palantir is in everything. They have huge government contracts. They've got a lot of government contracts. They're really everywhere. This is good. And so you could see that it kind of went for a wild ride. It popped up originally and then pulled back because the market pulled back, but then the market recovered, so it continued going higher. And yeah, it held the hourly 50. So yeah, we're happy. We're along for the ride with this. Palantir, of course, is a huge name and very popular. And then Hood. Now, I am both long and short Hood. So I'm long Robin, and I'm actually short Hood via some put butterflies, because I'm in an ideal world. We would actually see Robinhood pull back to about the 21 EMA. You can see here, here, here that it's all pulled back to the 21 previously, and the fact that this is at a double top, that resistance. We're seeing the Moxie Indicator come down. The whole market is a little bit tired. So, butterfly is kind of cheap, and I gave myself till next week. I want to see if this actually starts coming down. If it doesn't, that's fine. Remember, we cashed in 95% gain on our ROBN trade. And if this thing wants to keep going higher, hey, I'll take off the put, we'll buy back into this thing, and then we'll go higher. But I really feel like this thing should either breathe a little bit longer or maybe come down just a little bit. And if you look at an example, let's look at HIMS as an example. You can see it looks like exactly the same pattern. You can see HIMS also at a double top. And you can see it was right here at the 8 EMA. And what did it do? It broke the hourly 50 and came down to the 21. So I just want to see if we get something like that. Of course, I think we're going to need market support or market movement to do that. So if the market comes down, then I would think that Hood can come down too. And honestly, it would be a good thing. If Hood can come down to the daily 21, that would be great. It would be a great buy point. You can add back into it, all that kind of stuff, just like HIMS. So we'll keep an eye on that one too. All right, Serve. This is just another example showing you guys that there have been some really, really big moves out there, and I love it. I love it, but I don't want to buy this up here. This has been a really big move. You actually look, you can see here, and it's right back into this thing, and it's right there. And it's just very extended. So this is just another way of me looking around the market and saying, yeah, this has been an incredible move over the last month or 6 weeks, but it's hard to chase these names. This is really not where you want to go. So just like Hood, I would love to see if a Serve can come back down to the daily 21, maybe a little further, something like that, to give us an opportunity. And just kind of looking around, trying to show you guys some examples, say, hey, maybe things are getting a little bit frothy. As an example, you can look at RR. This is a name that we are currently in. We're basically back to break even. You can see there was some volume. I think it's getting added to the Russell. That's, I believe, is the news. Yeah, it got up a little bit into resistance. It's still having to navigate its previous resistance area. Again, very similar to what we're seeing with a lot of the other names. We were going from it doing pretty well to now it's coming back down here. Nothing wrong with it yet, but indicative, again, of the market that kind of is taking a little bit of a rest and a little bit of a break. So try not to push things too much right now. All right, let's look at Bitcoin. This is also kind of indicative of what we're seeing out there in the market. Remember, we traded BitX and made 45% off of that because we got in on BitX here. We took our first exit here and we got our final exit right there as Bitcoin was coming into its previous all-time high. Now, Bitcoin did go a little bit higher right up in here, and I said, ooh, too bad I'm not along for the ride, but I can't chase it. And this is why, guys. This is exactly what I was looking for and expecting. I did not want to chase Bitcoin all the way up here, and look what Bitcoin's doing. It's at least coming back down to its daily 21. Very similar to HIMS, very similar to what I would see with Serve, what we're seeing with RCAT or RR. These are the things that I want to see in general. Is I want to see these names come back down to some sort of support. Hood, I want to see that come back down. And you can see here we're getting the Moxie price trigger to the downside. And in fact, you can see price moving up, Moxie Indicator coming down, that was the negative divergence that was starting to kick in, and that's why I said I don't want to go chase this. I already made my 45% off of this, and now we need to wait for the next opportunity. And if you look at BitX itself, you can see that that is exactly what we got. So there's your Moxie price trigger telling you this doesn't want to go up anymore. You can see it got way too extended. And where did it get extended? Right here at a previous resistance area. Very similar to Hood, very similar to HIMS, very similar to a lot of other names that we were seeing out there. And then Mara, just kind of another thing that I'm trying to show you that a lot of these things are following the same thing. Look here, ran into resistance, coming back down to support. So eventually, this is going to be a great name to trade. In my eyes, this has had what I call the first move. That's the first move. Now we're getting the pullback, and then I want to see if we get the second move. So again, let the market kind of chill out, let it breathe, and then we'll see if things kind of start to shape back up again. All right, Reddit. This has been an interesting saga. If you guys remember, I got in here, then I got stopped out, and what I was telling all of you guys out there is that I was looking for Reddit to stay in this box because that was what was comfortable for me. I thought I was going to hold support, thought I was going to keep going, and I didn't want to give up too much. So instead of it being in that box, well, it looks like Reddit wants to be in that box. That's okay. We're stopped out for now, and funny enough, it's actually right back to our entry. That's just how things go. I am still looking to get back in. This is also being added to the Russells in a couple months. And so, yes, I am very interested in trading Reddit. I think Reddit is going to be a good name. The timing just didn't work. Instead of wanting to go up here, it looks like it wants to go up from here. Totally fine. Once again, I think the market needs a little bit of rest. I am keeping a very close eye on Reddit. I'm not quite ready to jump back in. I do want to see a little bit of a pullback, and then we can get into Reddit again. All right, TEM, this is another one. This is the one that kind of been giving us a little bit of a trouble. And amazingly, even though it had news, it came right smack down to the daily 50. This is exactly what I was saying and looking for and being prepared. I thought, okay, it's okay. But then I started to see the market get some weakness, and I said, you know what? I just don't want to have this headache. I want to take this off my plate because I think the market is resting, could pull back, and it could pull this back a little bit more, and I don't want to give up anymore. So I decided to exit, totally fine, just kind of like Reddit. And amazingly, TEM is still just hanging out right there at the daily 50. So this will be interesting to see in the future. If it continues to hold the daily 50 and then the market shapes up, great, I'll hop right back in. But if the market moves down and then this thing falls off the daily 50 a little bit, I'll be happy that I'm out, and then I can always catch it on the way back up. Totally fine. But yeah, this thing was all over the place. I mean, you can see it did really great and then had the news, and that's just the market for you. You never know when news is going to come out, something about accounting or finances or whatever. And then let's see, SoundHound, once again, trying to show you guys that the market's kind of taking a bit of a breather. This thing has been up, but really, to me, it looks like it's just kind of trying to hold the daily 50. It's kind of incubating, waiting for its moment, waiting for its time. The market is resting, so it's not going to keep running. But I do think that this thing is setting up for when the market is ready to go next time. I do think that the market's going to go higher eventually. We just have to be patient and wait for whenever that opportunity is going to be. And then if here's another little example. U is starting to break out. And what I want to show you guys is this is what I'm talking about. If you look at U, if you look at TEM, if you look at Walmart, even if you look at the SPX, really what has been happening for you over this whole area, it has been just going sideways, digesting, waiting for the right opportunity. And more specifically, you can even say right here, it was really starting to get tight and coiled up and look pretty good. In fact, you can see here starting to hold the daily 50. And even if you look at the IWM, you can see how the IWM and the Dow all did this inverse head and shoulders. You can see that basically price is right back to where it was after taking this V bottom. We're seeing that on a lot of things, including the indices. And that's why I'm saying we gotta let the market just digest this area for a while. It's totally fine. As long as price doesn't just start to puke and roll over again, if it just kind of does this for a while and builds support and then move up, great. That's exactly what we want to be waiting for and looking for and waiting and seeing all that kind of stuff. So let's just be patient. This is a great example. Obviously, it's been having some good news. It got upgraded even on Friday or something like that. That's why this thing's moving. That's fine. Okay. So as I said, there are still names that are moving up, but there are names that are moving down. The market is kind of all over the place. You can see that based on some of our trades. just give it some time, okay? And then we'll look and see if we can find some examples. And honestly, as I tell you guys, it would be great if the market actually came down next week. So don't panic, don't freak out. If the market moves down next week, I think it's going to be a good thing. We'll end up probably buying the dip if we can. So we'll do that. And remember, guys, if you enjoy all this, remember hit the like button and come over to simplertrading.com/Moxie. And all those videos that I talked about and all the classes, they'll be in the description so that you guys can check that out. Okay, thanks again. We'll see you at the next one.